Tyson Fury, also known as the Gypsy King. English boxer, one of the most flamboyant and outrageous representatives of modern sports. Undefeated, bold, and charismatic heavyweight, a holder of all championship titles, literally smashing his opponents often before they even step into the ring. Someone who managed to dethrone Vladimir Klitschko, who was the dominant heavyweight champion for 11.5 years. Overnight, a lanky British guy turned into a real superstar. You'd think he had the whole world at his feet, but nobody knew what was really going on inside the new world champion. The goal of my life was to defeat Klitschko. When you have a goal that you have been pursuing almost since you were a kid, and then you achieve it, it's like I got lost at that moment. I felt like there was nothing else to achieve in life. Yes, I had to defend titles, but that didn't excite me as much as the thought of beating the champion. When I was an amateur, I used to watch Vladimir Klitschko's fight on TV, and I used to think that was who I wanted to beat. Winning him was like climbing Mount Everest. I had nothing else to prove. After that, the fire went out in me, and then I had to force myself. It was as if I was lost then. I would get up in the morning and think, why do I need all this? I mean, I had everything: money, fame, titles, a beloved wife, family, kids, but I felt like I had nothing. Nothing could fill that emptiness. I had no motivation to do anything. Zero motivation to shave. Zero motivation to brush my teeth, even to take a shower. Nothing. No words can describe what I felt, how broken I was. When you lose control of your mind, you go to hell. I'm only telling this because I want to show the world that if mental health can bring someone like me to my knees, such a strong, big man, world champion boxer, then it can break anybody. And I thought, if I can show the world that it's possible to fix it, to get back in shape, to reach my former heights again, then anybody can do it. I've had psychological problems my whole life, but I didn't know where they were coming from because I didn't get into them. When I was a kid, I felt lonely, even when I was around other people. I was always very shiny, skinny, intimidated boy, and everyone always told me that I was not capable of anything, that I would never achieve anything, that I couldn't do anything. I think that's what caused my psychological problems. I lived like I was in the delusion. One great day after another, and 7 days later, I was deprived of my IBF belt because I refused to defend it. And then things only got worse. I had everything one could wish for: money, fame, achievements, family, all the worldly things. But they meant nothing to me. And no one could understand why I felt that way. It seemed to me that nothing good would ever happen to me again, that I was worthless. It's the most terrible feeling many people experience when they're in that state. Endlessly repeating thoughts, the same thing all day long, and it wouldn't go anywhere. And the more I tried to think right, trying to be positive, still the only thing in my head was just negativity, 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 negativity. And everyone who was with me was also getting infected by this negativity from me. I started drinking more, taking drugs. I used to hang out at parties. I didn't come back home. I didn't care about boxing. I didn't care about life. I just wanted to die. When I was drunk or high, everything was great. At such moments, I was boxing champion and I felt good. But as you know, when the alcohol goes away, the problems remain, and the depression only gets worse. The lowest point in that period was the day I was going to commit suicide. I came to the conclusion that I didn't want to live like that. I was causing everyone only misery and alienated all my loved ones. In the summer of 2016, I bought a brand new Ferrari and drove down a highway not far from where I live. At the end of the stretch of the road, about 5 km long, there was an intersection with a bridge. Knowing that, I accelerated my car to 300 km an hour. I didn't care about anything: my family, my career, my friends, anyone. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to die. I gave up. As I was already racing at this insane speed towards the bridge, I heard a voice saying to me, "No, don't do that, Tyson. Think of the kids. Everyone will tell them their dad was weak. He ran away, taking the easy way out because he couldn't cope with the problems." And before I turned the bridge, I slowed down. I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. Nonetheless, that was not that moment when Fury finally realized it was time to change his life. Chaos and self-destruction continued for more than a year. It got to the point that I was getting bigger and bigger. I was gaining weight like crazy: 150, 170, 180 kilos. I could no longer fit into any of my clothes. The turning point was this: I was going to a Halloween costume party. I left the house at 9 p.m. and thought I'd party all night and get wasted there. Once I was there, I had a drink and was looking around, watching and comparing myself to all those kids. I was 30, and I was already the oldest of them all. And I thought, what the hell am I doing here? Is this what I want in my life? I knew for sure this was not what I really wanted. It's amazing how many people used to tell me the same thing before when I was on the wrong track. But you can change your life only if you want to do it. So I turned around and drove home. When I got home, I went upstairs to my bedroom, knelt down and prayed to God for help. I had prayed a lot in my life before, but I had never asked God for help. I had never been in such a condition before. Tears were streaming down my cheeks and my chest was all wet. I realized how much I needed God's help because I could not do it on my own. I would try again and again, but every day I would end up in a bar. I already accepted that it was my destiny to be an alcoholic. I was praying for about 20 minutes, and then I got up and felt as if the weight of the whole world had fallen off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I realized it was over, and this time I would come back. I was definitely going to do it. The next morning, I put on my tracksuit and was going to run 2 miles. I ran about 200 meters and stopped. It felt like I couldn't do anymore, although I'd always been a very good runner, and then 200 meters and I was dead. I could feel it in my stomach. It was like jelly made of fat because I weighed 180 kilos at that time. But I decided that I would walk at least. And while I was walking, I opened my Instagram and saw a video of Deontay Wilder there, saying that Tyson Fury was done. It was like even in my prime years, he would have knocked me out. And before that, he was claiming that he would have knocked out Mike Tyson in the first round. And I realized that it was probably worth coming back for that. When I watched the video, it became my motivation to come back to beat Deontay Wilder. It was just a matter of losing about 60 kilos and trying not to get back into cocaine and sweets. At the end of 2017, the boxer announced a return to the gym and started losing weight. I went out for a run every day and ran further and further until I started running 4 or 5 miles as before. I came back and started catching up. We were working all the time, every day, day in, day out. You need to give a stimulus to your mind, and I think a workout is the best way to do that. Working out on machines, doing exercises. It doesn't matter if you do a lot or a little, you have to do something at least. I've been setting myself short and long-term goals and started planning more. If I didn't have any benchmark, I'd get confused and my mind would just wander in an unknown direction. But when I made a plan, I started to act. And it doesn't have to be some big achievements. It can be small, tiny goals that mean something to you as an individual, as a person. I am absolutely convinced that training and working through your life is the best answer to mental health problems. I realized the following. Nobody wants to accept the truth. When I was an alcoholic, I didn't want to be told. And before I turned the bridge, I slowed down. I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. It's almost like a game in your head, when you don't want to know the truth even though you already know the truth. I always knew I was a fat asshole. I knew I had an alcohol addiction, but I didn't want to be told to my face. But the moment I accepted that I had to change, needed some help and I stopped doing what I was doing. It was at that moment that I was able to step aside and start again. So without accepting defeat, you can never come back. You can go on because you're still stuck in the past. On 22 February 2020, Tyson Fury finally made his comeback and shocked the world again, perhaps even more than in 2015 with Vladimir Klitschko. In a rematch with Wilder, the Gypsy King interrupted the era of Deontay Wilder, who was on his 40-win streak without a single failure. The Brit literally beat one of the best heavyweights of our time, finally putting an end to all questions about the real king of the heavyweight division of the past and the new decade.